The doctor is saying daddy's got 5 to 7 days. What the fuck do you mean? Like, that's, at least that was my first reaction. I don't mean to curse, but that was literally the words that came out of my mouth. All right, let's talk about it. If you here, you're coming here because you're on a grief journey. I'm sharing mine with you guys. Baby, I feel like I've been grieving for so damn long. I'm still grieving. It's gotten better as time has gone on. But when I tell you, the void I feel in my life all the time is unbelievable. The first 37 years of my life, I'm turning 47 on Saturday, I had a mom and dad. So this second half of my life is tough. So I want to talk to you guys about my grief journey, how I've gotten through it, and get through it every single day, because grief never ends. You see the tears is welling up in my eyes. If you follow me and you follow my content, I talk about my mom all the time. There she go. This is my office. This is my mom, Shirley Mae Mills. My dad is gone as well. I talk about him sometimes in my content, but my mother showed me how to cook. So I talk about her more because I got a lot of my cooking and my passion for cooking from my mother. My passion for cooking comes from my mother. So I'm doing this chapter series, right? I'm taking you guys through each chapter of my life. And this is the chapter for grief. I talk about my early childhood, 0 to 18. I talk about my college days at Hampton University, my early 20s. The longest chapter to me seems like this grief chapter. I started grieving my mother back in 2008. That's when she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Was it 2008? What year did I turn 30? Yes, that's the year I turned 30. That's the year I turned 30. 2008. I was living in Raleigh, North Carolina at the time. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep, and I called on neurologists, geriatric doctors, primary care physicians, because I sold a drug for depression and anxiety. I sold a drug for blood pressure, and I also sold a drug for Alzheimer's and dementia. So when you become a pharmaceutical sales rep, you go to an onboarding process for like weeks at a time. So when I got this job in 2006, I went to Long Island, New York for a month. For an entire month, I was in Long Island, New York, learning about the disease state of Alzheimer's, depression, and anxiety. Hypertension came later because they launched the drug once I had been in the job for a little bit. But the first two disease states I really learned about, the symptoms, the physiological things that go on in the brain, the plaques and tangles, all of those things I learned because I'm selling a drug that helps slow down Alzheimer's to these geriatric doctors and primary care physicians. So when you're going to talk to a doctor, you got to know what you're talking about. So that's why they have us learn about the drug, the disease state, the half-life, all of these things I learned. So I started the job in 2006. Around 2008, I was living in Raleigh. My mother and father lived in Kinston, which is about an hour and 20 minutes away. So when I would go home to see my parents, I started noticing that my mother was acting very different. I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know if it was a little bit of a depression because, her kids were grown. My mother was a workaholic. Like, literally, I feel some type of way because I feel like she really didn't enjoy the second half of her life because she worked so much. Like, she was so obsessed is not the word I want to use, but just passionate about our family funeral home and doing everything that she could for the Kinston community. And I really felt like she didn't really enjoy the second half of her life because she got Alzheimer's very early in her mid-60s. And she was a PE teacher. She was really into walking 4 miles every day. Like, she was physically fit, but she was starting to lose her mind. And I remember noticing it. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep for the Durham, Cary, Raleigh, Wake Forest area. My mother did not really trust doctors where we live. Baby, she went to a Duke University doctor. She said, my doctor's at Duke. That's what she would say. Baby, she did not play about her doctor. She would go to Duke University, doctors, physicians to be treated. And I happened to call on her doctor. Her doctor was on my list. And I remember going to him at a lunch because the pharmaceutical sales at that time, you did a lot of lunches, right? So I went to lunch and I said, Dr. Evans, my mother's going to be in here in the next couple of weeks. You know how she is. He said, Carlina, I do. I said, I'm starting to worry about her. I said, I want you to do an MMSE on her. I want you to see what's going on because something's not right. He said, okay. I said, I'm going to come with her. And now I didn't go to my mother's doctor's appointments, baby. She was like, you mind your business. I'm the mama, you the child. That's what she would tell me all the time. She did not like me in her business. She was like, I'm grown. My mama is dead. Girl, she was, mama would say that all the time. My mama is dead. You ain't my mama. I'm the mama, you the child. I said, okay, Mom, but I really want to go with you. I want to go with you to this appointment. Went with her to the appointment. Dr. Evans got in there and started asking her questions like, who is the current president? What year is it? All of the questions that you ask on a mini mental state exam, right? It's called an MMSE. So you're trying to basically do a baseline of the person's short-term memory. And she got them questions wrong. She got some of them questions wrong. But she also was not too far gone where she realized that he was testing her. And she didn't like that. My mother was very, very prideful. She was very my way or the highway. Baby, she didn't play no games. She was like, you don't tell me what to do. I'm the boss. That's just how she carried herself. Baby, when she left out that doctor's appointment and she realized that doctor was trying to test her for her memory, she was pissed. So pissed that she didn't show up to my 30th birthday party. I had a 30th birthday party in Durham, North Carolina, March 15th. Had a birthday party in Durham. My daddy was there. Baby, we had a limo. We had a bus. I know it was a limo, it was a bus. Left my house in Raleigh. Went to Durham in this bus. Like, we had the music cranking. All my friends came in town. We had a time. And my daddy was on the bus getting it in, having a time. But my mama didn't come because my mama was so upset with me because she knew that I had put Dr. Evans up to asking her these questions about her memory. And she didn't talk to me for about a month. She was like that, baby. When I tell you, if she got in her feelings about something, she would ice you out. She would ice you out, honey. She did that, baby, when she found out her little girl wasn't no baby, wasn't no virgin no more. You getting the real on the YouTube, okay? When she found out that I was no longer a virgin, she talked to me about 2-3 weeks. She was pissed. But that's just how she was. She got over it. And I kept trying to encourage her to listen to the doctor, go to the neurologist. She was not having it. She did not want to accept the diagnosis. She would say, ain't nothing wrong with me. Yo, daddy crazy. I ain't crazy. Right? My mom was something else. So from that time, I grieved her because I knew as a pharmaceutical sales executive, I knew what was coming. I had been studying Alzheimer's disease, talking to these geriatric doctors, learning what I was learning at the job. I knew what was coming. I read a book we used to give out to families, to physicians, so they could give to their families, was a book called The Longest Day, I think it was called. Now I got to look it up. I think it was called The Longest Day. Basically, the whole book is about how you are saying goodbye to your loved one a little bit at a time over many years. 2008 was when my mother was diagnosed. My mother didn't pass until 2001. So all of those years she slowly started to lose her memory. But because she was so physically fit, I feel like that's why, she held on as long as she did, because she was so physically fit. She only had like a blood pressure issue with her blood pressure. So she would take blood pressure medication and she would take a thyroid medication. That's it. But other than that, she was pretty fit. So I grieved her because I could tell she was starting to not remember certain recipes. When I would go home, she would put salt in her food 2-3 times. She would burn stuff up. Those are the type of things I was noticing. She was very moody. She was losing her keys, misplacing her cell phone. And when I tell you, My mama was with it. She was a businesswoman. She was about her business. You hear what I'm saying? My mother was about her business. She ran our family business, which is a funeral home. So she did that with my dad, but she also was like into selling shackly. She was a real estate developer. So she would buy property, fix it up, sell it, or rent it out to single mothers. She had such a heart for single mothers. She did a lot. So to see her not be able to do those things over time was extremely heartbreaking. And then to also see her, be confused a lot was also very heartbreaking. I got married in 2013. My mama could not remember I was getting married. People would come into the funeral home after seeing my engagement. Back then, you got engaged, you would send a picture into the Kinston Free Press, into the newspaper. You would send a picture into the newspaper and they would announce your engagement. So my engagement to my husband was announced in my local paper. And people would come to our family business and say, hey, Miss Shirley, I saw your daughter get married. And she say she is. She ain't told me that. And now y'all know I told my mama I was getting married, but she couldn't remember it. She couldn't remember it. So to be the only daughter and to be getting married and your mama not remember you getting married, baby, that was something else. I remember I went to Greenville with her because I wanted her to be a part of my wedding dress shopping. Because taking her from the funeral home, she was like just really passionate about going to work and still trying to be the Shirley Mills that she had always been. And that was really tough for her to transition from work to realizing she can't remember certain things and her having to kind of like stay at home more. So I remember I went home one time and we went to David's Bridal and I just wanted to have that experience with her. But it wasn't really the experience I thought it was going to be because she kept forgetting I was getting married. Like we were in the store and I'm trying on dresses and she's saying to the people in the store, my daughter said she getting married. Like she was a trip. She was a mess. She kept forgetting. When you have Alzheimer's, your short-term memory is the memory that goes first, right? So your long-term memory is intact. She could remember stuff from her like New York days. She lived in New York for like maybe 15 years. So she would remember her Bronx, New York days, that she was a PE teacher in New York, obviously her childhood. But things that happened last month or happened last year, she couldn't remember it. So that was really heartbreaking for me to go through that, to, try to plan a wedding. I used to say, Mama, these are colors. It's going to be royal blue and silver. And she would say 50 times, what's your colors again? So I can get something to wear to the wedding. What's your colors? Send me a swatch. Baby, Southern women, send me a swatch of the colors and I'll make sure I go try to find me a dress. And I did all that. I found a dress here because I wanted my mom to wear silver. I found a dress here, thought she would like it. Baby took it down to Kinston. She was like, I ain't wearing that. And she didn't. The dress she wore to my wedding was fuchsia. And it was the dress she had worn to my older brother's wedding in 1994. But she looked fabulous. This dress was timeless, right? She looked fabulous. But when you're dealing with somebody who has Alzheimer's disease, you don't argue with them. You don't argue with them. I just let it go. I wanted her to wear silver. She didn't want to wear it. She didn't like the dress I had gotten her. And it was fine because I understood her condition. So I got married in 2013, December 2013, here in DC. Well, here in Maryland, I got married. So my family came up from North Carolina to my wedding. And that's when I realized my mother is not the same. Like I had gone home and I would see her like burn food. I would see her put salt in stuff. I would hear her ask me something several times. My daddy would call me and say, Carlina, call your mom and tell her where you are. Cause she would forget I'm living in DC now. I'm not back in North Carolina, or she forgets like I'm not at Hampton University. I'm here in DC. She would forget. So I have so many messages or so many phone calls from him saying, call your mama. call your mama and let her know where you are. Because she couldn't remember where I was. And I would do it. Every time I would do it. And so when they brought her up here for the wedding, let me tell you this story though. This is really funny. So before I got married, my husband and I moved into a townhouse together. We weren't even engaged. We were dating. And she came to visit, and I was making breakfast right before she was about to leave. And I asked her, has she taken her vitamins? Because she was trying to take vitamins for like mental acuity and stuff like that. Because she realized she had a problem, but she didn't want to take the doctor's medicine. So I was trying to get her to take her vitamins because she was really into, supplements and vitamins, since she sold Shackley vitamins for years. I said, Mom, have you taken your vitamins? I'm the mama, you the child. I said, okay. I said, she said, Kevin, you better tell your wife. You better get your wife. She said, Kevin, you better get your wife. And I said, Mom, we're not married. I said, that he's my boyfriend, but we're not married. She said, well, you show acting like it. Baby, I was in that kitchen making eggs and bacon and toast. And she said, you show acting like it. Baby, that's my mama right there. She was still in there, but she had so many bouts of forgetfulness, right? I remember that same weekend, my bonus girls were at the house and we were having dinner. She asked Tiffany and Aaliyah about 4 or 5 times what grade they were in. What grade are you in again, baby? About 4 or 5 times. So when it became time for my wedding, they came up. I don't have no pictures with my mama while I was getting dressed, because when you take somebody, and I didn't realize how bad it was at the time when I was planning my wedding, and how it would impact my mother, because she tried to hide a lot. She really did. She tried to hide a lot of what she was dealing with when it came to her memory loss. So, but when you move somebody who has Alzheimer's from their home, right, and take them to a place that's a strange place, they really don't do well in that situation. So I remember going to get my hair done, and I had left my mother at the house, and the person that was there with her calling me as I'm trying to get my hair done for my wedding to say, your mom trying to leave. She's trying to go home. She's trying to go to North Carolina. She's saying she got to take her school kids to school tomorrow. She's thinking she back in the Bronx taking her kids to, a field trip or something. So I had to hurry up, get back to the house, calm her down. The night before my wedding, she was trying to leave again. She had got her fur coat. I got married on New Year's Eve. She had her fur coat on, baby. She had her suitcase, and she was going home. I said, Mama, you can't go home. I'm getting married tomorrow. You can't go home. You gotta stay. I'm getting married. She said, you are? I said, yeah, Mama, I'm getting married tomorrow. You can't go home. So calmed her down. I thought her best friends, so like my aunts, I call them my aunts, but these are her best friends from New York, her college days. I thought them being there would help her kind of be herself. And it was helpful in the sense of they were able to kind of help her get dressed and help her get it together. And I could focus on getting dressed and getting ready for my wedding. Because, someone who is dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia, they're going to do stuff on their time. You ain't going to tell them what to do. That's just how they are. And it's not them. It's the illness. So I'm grateful that they were there. But I remember my aunt telling me that I had all my aunts sit on the front row. So all her friends from years and years and years, they all sat on the front row because they all played such a special place in my life. And I wanted them close to my mother. So they all sat on the front row. And there is video. The videographer was there filming my wedding. There's video of my mama looking down the line of her best friends. Like her friends, she goes back years, 40 plus years, and introducing herself to them because she couldn't remember who they were. So when I look at my wedding footage, When she walks in my wedding, she's smiling. It's like she knows what she's there for. When she's walking out of my wedding, she has that blank look on her face. And if you know anybody who has dementia and Alzheimer's, they have that blank look because they're so confused and so lost in regards to their surroundings. We were trying to tell her what table to sit at. She was going to another. It was just a lot that day, but we got through it. It was a beautiful day. We had a beautiful wedding. But as the mother of the bride, right, she didn't have that experience. I didn't have that experience because of Alzheimer's. Fast forward the next year and a half. No, the next year. Yeah. Fast forward the next year, Kevin and I found out we were having Maya. We got married December 2013, Memorial Day 2014. Baby, I had a bun in the oven. I had a bun in the oven at 36 years old. He already had 2 daughters. He was like, okay, I can do one more. And that's exactly what we did because I really wanted to have a baby. And he was on board with that. So we got pregnant. I happened to go home because my dad was sick. My dad was having issues with his stomach. He wasn't sure what was going on. So I got the call that he wasn't feeling well. He was in the hospital. So I went down. We went down to be with him. Didn't really understand what was going on at the time, but I stayed for a couple of days until he got out the hospital. So I want to say by that time, it was like early June. So I said, while I'm here, I'm going to let them know that I'm pregnant, right? Because I wanted to be there in person. I live 5 hours away. So, I wanted to be in person and let them know. So I went and got a Father's Day card, early Father's Day card. And in the card, I wrote out, Happy Father's Day. Kevin and I are expecting. So I had, how like you see like the Today Show and, Good Morning America. And these people have like these like happy, fun videos of telling their mother and father that they're having a baby. That's what I wanted. Like I wanted to have that experience. So I had my little iPhone, 6, 7, 8, I don't know what it was at the time. iPhone out. My daddy's sitting on the couch. My mother's sitting next to him. And I knew because of where my mother was and her illness, she wasn't going to get it. She wasn't going to understand what I was saying to them, what I was saying to her. So my focus was on my father, unfortunately, because I knew my mother was really sick at the time. So he opens the card. He opens the card. My father died at 83. So I had this conversation with him at 82. Okay. He was 82, but baby, you couldn't tell it. My daddy went to work every day, still working funerals, still waiting on families, baby, still going fishing. He was a whippersnapper, had an iPhone. My daddy had the latest and greatest iPhone. If it was a new iPhone coming out, he was going to get it and learn how to use it. He was really into learning technology. Baby, he would be on social media. He was on Facebook. If he was still here today, he'd be on TikTok. My daddy would be on TikTok. He was just that type of person. He wanted to learn the latest and greatest. So he had his own. And I knew it wasn't like he couldn't read. Like, do you need your glasses, sir? What is going on? But he sat there and he stared at the card, looked like this, read the other side. I said, Daddy, did you read what I wrote in the card? He said, yeah, I see it. But he had no reaction. I said, read it out loud. He said, Happy early Father's Day. Kevin and I are expecting. And he paused and he said, oh, okay. And it wasn't like the yippee or he got off the chair all excited, came and grabbed me, got me a hug. He reacted, but it wasn't a reaction I was expecting. It was a sad reaction. And baby, when you wait to find the love of your life, the person you want to, settle down with and have a child, like I really thought like he would be the one, right, that would have jumped off the couch and been so happy. And I was so upset about that. So I said to him the next morning, I said, Daddy, I said, I thought you were going to be happy about the fact I was having a baby. I said, you barely, reacted to it. He said to me, he said, Carlina, I feel so bad. I don't know if I'm going to be here to see it. He said, Carlina, I feel so bad. I don't know if I'm going to be here to see her. 2 weeks after that, he got diagnosed with colon cancer. They didn't know what was wrong with him. He went to Durham after I left to come back home. After he got to the hospital to get a second opinion and to go to another doctor. And that's where he was diagnosed with colon cancer. I had just found out I was having a baby. And they told my daddy he had 6 months to live. How the fuck do you tell me my daddy got 6 months to live and I'm about to have his first grandbaby? I was so damn mad, but I kept saying he gonna beat it, he gonna beat it, he gonna beat it. 82, he is strong, he's gonna beat it. My father was a mortician and a funeral director. He embalmed a lot of people over 50-some years. He didn't want to do chemo. He did not want to do radiation. He told me, he said, I've ordered the Hallelujah Acres regimen. I'm reading that book and I'm drinking this special tea that's going to get rid of my cancer. I'm not doing no chemo or radiation. I've seen how chemo and radiation has burnt people up. That's what he said from the inside. I don't want that, right? And I kept saying, Daddy, please, you got to do whatever the doctor say you got to do it. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. I think he knew it was late stage and he didn't feel well and he knew he wasn't going to make it. He didn't feel like, making himself sicker was going to prolong his life. The other thing was he was taking care of my mother because she had dementia and Alzheimer's. So he was her main caregiver because I lived in Maryland and I was having a baby. I just got married. So August of that year, I found out I was pregnant in May. I want to say it was like mid-August. I was probably maybe 14 weeks or something like that. He got sick, went into the hospital. Came out, he was doing better. It was August. He got sick and had to have surgery. The doctor said, I can cut the cancer out. I can heal your dad. I can cut the cancer out, but he has to have emergency surgery because his cancer, it needs to come out. I can cut it out. Daddy agreed to it. He didn't want to do it, but I literally pleaded with him to do the surgery. So Kevin and I went down. I was 14, maybe 15 weeks pregnant. Kevin and I went down, stayed in North Carolina for 2.5 weeks. Baby, I had my laptop. I was working. He was working. We had our laptops. We was in that hospital room every single day. I remember when he was wheeled into surgery. I've told this story, I think, before on my social media. He had a piece of paper in his hand. So it was a piece of paper, it was smaller than this. But he had it, I didn't notice it. I didn't notice it at the time, but he had his fist, one of his hands, fist balled up like this. And, we were there 6 a.m, something like that, while they prepped him to take him back or whatever. And his hands stayed clenched the entire time we were in there. And he was in good spirits. He was in a good mood. But my father, He ain't like doctors. He didn't like hospitals. He had been healthy his entire life. You know, he was afraid, but he didn't want to let on to us that he was afraid. So before he was wheeled into surgery, the paper that was in his hand was given to us. And on that paper, he had written out Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding, but acknowledge me in all your ways. Your crooked path will be made straight. That's what he took into the surgery. He took the word of God into the surgery with him. At 82 years old, they don't really want to do surgery on people that old, but they did. And the doctor felt like he could cure the cancer, or he could give him more time. So that's what he did. Came out the surgery well. He stayed in the hospital, I want to say 2.5 weeks, and then went home. And when he came out the surgery, I thought I was going to lose him at that time, because after being in that hospital for a certain amount of time, you start losing your wits about you, right? So I was starting to see stuff that my mother was doing. He was seeing a man in the corner and ants on the walls and hallucinating stuff like that. But it was because they had cut so much on his colon, he couldn't eat anything. So he was starting to get a little delirious, and then being inside for days upon days, he couldn't really get his bearings about him. But he was sitting in his chair one day, maybe a week and a half after the surgery, and I'm working and, making sure he's good. And I said, Daddy, what's my name? He said, Carlina Mills Davis. I said, okay. Okay. Yeah, you fine. You fine. You fine. And he came out of it. He went home, and from September to October, he stayed home. He had a home healthcare nurse that helped him heal and get around the house and cook meals for him and my mother. And by October, baby, he was back at work. His birthday was October 18th. I went back home to celebrate his birthday. He had worked 2 funerals that day. So in the break room, we had a cake, and all the staff came back and sang him happy birthday, and he got a chance to celebrate his birthday. And I said, oh, my dad gonna be all right. He looked like himself. He was laughing and joking. Baby, he was a jokester. When I tell you he was so funny, he would always say the funniest words and phrases. He'd keep people laughing. He just had a great personality. People love to be around Clement Calvin, or some people call him CC. Or Mills. People love my dad. I said, he gonna be fine. He gonna be fine. He was okay. He was himself. His birthday was October 18th. I went home October 18th, celebrate his birthday. I came back for Thanksgiving. Had my baby shower at home. I had a baby shower at home. I had a baby shower here in Maryland. Had a baby shower at home during Thanksgiving. He had lost so much weight. He didn't look like himself. For the first time in my life, my daddy was on the couch in the middle of the day. I had never seen that man be on the couch in the middle of the day my entire life. He didn't feel good. There was a body that needed to be picked up. He sent my husband with one of his employees to pick the body up because he didn't feel good. He barely ate Thanksgiving. I cooked. I started cooking Thanksgiving dinner years before because my mother wasn't able to anymore because of her illness. When I left Thanksgiving, my daddy hugged me so tight because he felt like he knew that was going to be the last time he saw me. But it wasn't. I got a call a week and a half before Christmas. I was 8.5 months pregnant with Maya. And baby, I stayed in Chipotle. You hear me? I stayed in Chipotle. It was something about them damn tacos. When I was pregnant with her, I ate them all the time. And I was in the parking lot at Chipotle and got a call from a family member. The doctor said, "Hey, Carlina, the doctor is saying daddy's got 5 to 7 days." What? The doctor is saying daddy's got 5 to 7 days. What the fuck do you mean? Like, that's, at least that was my first reaction. I don't mean to curse, but that was literally the words that came out of my mouth. What the F do you mean? Not my daddy. I was 8.5 months pregnant. The next morning, I went to my OB and I said, "Dr. Coates, I need you to print out my medical records. I need to go home to Eastern North Carolina. My daddy is really sick." "I'm sorry to hear that. I really am, but I don't advise you drive. I don't advise that you ride in a car 5 hours at this stage of your pregnancy." I said, "I don't give a fuck what you advise, Dr. Coates. I'm going home to see my daddy." Okay. Printed out all my stuff just in case I delivered in North Carolina. And me and Kevin got on the road. Got down there, walked into the room, and he was asleep. Daddy was asleep. Sat by the bed for about 20 minutes. He woke up and opened his eyes and looked and saw I was there. He said, "My baby, my baby." I said, "Hey, Daddy." And when I tell you the look he gave me, because Thanksgiving, he thought that was going to be the last time he saw me, because he felt that bad. I said, "Daddy, I'm here. I'm here." He said, "What you doing here? You got to take care of yourself. What you doing here?" I said, "I'm going to be fine. Be fine. I just got to make sure you're okay." So I stayed, I think it was maybe 2 days, and he made me go home. He knew his main concern was me and Maya. He knew he was having a granddaughter because I found out really early. Mind you, I had a baby at 37, okay? Was I 37? 36. So because I was older, I got the results of the gender at 13 weeks, I think it was. So he was the first person I called when I found out she was a girl. And he knew her name was going to be Maya, after the poet Maya Angelou. And he knew her middle name was going to be Alina. And the Lena was after his mother, Lena James. So he knew her name was going to be Maya. He knew he was having a granddaughter. But he was so concerned about me and my health and the health of the baby. So he begged me to go home. My godmother was there. And he said, "Please get Carlina to go home. She needs to take care of herself. She doesn't need to be sitting up in this hospital chair with me." He was protecting me to the very end. He was protecting me to the very end. He did not want me to witness him take his last breath. So he made me go home. I remember thinking, I think we got back home around December 23rd, something like that. He went home Christmas Eve on hospice. Christmas Eve, he went home. And I remember thinking and asking God, "God, don't let my daddy die on Christmas, Lord Jesus. Don't let my daddy die on Christmas." I talked to him Christmas. He was weak, but he talked. He kept saying he wanted some peas. Kept saying he wanted some peas. I said, "Yeah, somebody gonna fix you some peas. I fix him some peas. He want to eat. He gonna be all right. He want to eat something." They say that when you're transitioning or know you're transitioning, you get bursts of energy. And he displayed that on Christmas Day. And I think, you know, just to protect me or, you know, not have me worry. But 9:30 the next morning on December 26, 2014, I got the call that my daddy had gone to heaven. My 1-year wedding anniversary was spent planning my daddy's funeral. And I was 8.5 months pregnant with my daughter. I don't question God, but damn it, I really hate he didn't get a chance to meet her because he would have loved her. It was really hard for me to deal with my father passing away and not meet my daughter. It was really hard for me to deal with. On top of the fact that my mama had Alzheimer's disease and was not well enough to understand I had had a baby and to be there for me while my baby was being born and a newborn. His funeral was January 3rd, 2015. I said, I'm really in here going into this damn tabernacle, 9 months pregnant, burying my father. I told my family I didn't want to get up and speak because I didn't think I didn't think I could do it. And I didn't. I got up there, but I don't know what I said. I felt like I sounded crazy because I just couldn't get the words out. I couldn't believe after all the funerals I had been to my entire life, I'm at my daddy's funeral. I'm at my daddy's funeral. The man that ran a funeral home in this town for over 50 years, I'm at his funeral? My daddy? Baby, when I tell you, I don't know how I got through that damn day. On top of dealing with that, the morning of my father's funeral, trying to get my mama dressed for the funeral. She could not remember my father had passed away. So because she had Alzheimer's, she kept asking where he was. When somebody has Alzheimer's, the person that's closest to them, they lean on that person. It's like the air that they breathe. Because they had been together so long, where's Clement? Where's Clement? Where's Clement? How the hell you answer that knowing he's gone and she can't remember and you having to keep saying over and over again, he's gone. That sent me. That was so hard to deal with because I'm grieving her being gone mentally. Not mentally, she was here, but she wasn't the mother I knew and loved. She was not herself. And now my daddy gone? And I'm about to bring a baby into the world? His funeral was January 3rd. We came back home January, I think it was the 4th or 5th. I think maybe we stayed 2 more days. I can't remember. I had Maya on January 16th. 22 days. He missed her by 22 days, I think. 22 days. I just wanted him to be able to see her. And I feel like he sees her. They both see her. But it's just different when you have a picture of your daddy holding your baby and all of that. I have a picture of my mama holding my baby. Mama lived until Maya was 5, 6. I think she was 6 when mama died. So I have those pictures with her, with Maya, but she's not, you know what I'm saying, herself. But she's in the pictures with her, and there's cute moments of them together where I feel like mama is you know what I'm saying, lucid a little bit to realize. I think a lot of times she thought Maya was me, honestly, because she's in her long-term memory. But baby, when I tell you the first 6 weeks of her being here, I didn't want to be here. I was so grief-stricken. So postpartum plus the loss of my father took me out. And I was working on top of that. Like, I was on maternity leave, but I had to go back to work after having a baby and losing my father. I went to a grief counselor while I was on maternity leave. I went to 2 because the first one I didn't feel like really could understand what was going on with me. I went to 2 early on, and then I went to someone else maybe like a year after he passed away. Did it help me? I don't fucking know. But it gave me the opportunity to talk about him to somebody other than my husband. I just wanted to talk about my daddy. I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to talk about my mom. I wanted to talk about how I felt. I just wanted to talk. I wanted somebody to know how great they were, how amazing they were. Excuse me, how I was feeling having this new life, this new chapter. I had just got married in 2013. I was a newlywed and a new mom and an orphan all at the same damn time. I still don't know how I got through it. I know how I got through it. The grace of God. Had it not been for him, had it not been God by my side every day, and my father right here, right? The last thing he told me to do was take care of my baby. He was talking about Maya. So if I wasn't physically and mentally okay and emotionally okay, I wasn't going to be able to honor his wishes. So I just kept fighting every single day, battling this grief, battling this void, battling the immense sadness I felt because I wanted to honor his last wishes for me and for her. My husband, my rock. Baby, had it not been for him helping me through that time, listening to how I felt, he had lost his father in 2001 to brain cancer. We both lost our fathers in December. We both lost our fathers to cancer. So he understood what it was like to lose a parent. And he was there for me in so many ways. But it's just taken me counseling, baby, antidepressants. I ain't Shane. I got on that Wellbutrin for a little bit. I have been on Lexapro for a little bit just because I felt like I couldn't cope. You know, the therapy was good, but I felt some days like, yeah, this is tough. Grief ain't for no punks, yo. It's not. You can hear a damn song. You can see a show. Somebody can say something. Somebody could look like your damn loved one. And just like that, you're triggered into grief. My first Father's Day, without him, I stayed in the bed. It was Kevin's first Father's Day as Maya's dad, not first Father's Day ever, because, you know, he has 2 older daughters, but his first Father's Day as Maya's dad. I ain't even get out the damn bed. I got him a card. But it was my first Father's Day without my damn daddy. I didn't get out of bed. His birthday, had a hard time with that. The first are hard. The first holiday, the first birthday, the first Father's Day, hard. Hard. It was hard for me to cope and deal with the fact that he was not here. But I kept looking at Maya and knew I had to keep going for her because that's what he would want me to do. Like I said, I had been grieving the loss of my mother since 2008. Mama really started declining 3 months after I had Maya. Y'all don't understand the things I went through, yo. My daddy died on his funeral was January 3rd, 2014. Maya was born January 16th. No, Daddy's funeral was January 3rd, 2015. Maya was born January 16th, 2015. Right before I went back to work, I went home to North Carolina. Maya was almost 3 months old. So after I had her, I waited 6 weeks, went home so my mother could meet her. I have one video of my mother with Maya. And she told me, I'm doing a great job. She told me I don't have that on video, but I have a video of them together. And she's, talking to her and, recognizes in that video that that's my child. That's the only footage I have. I don't have no other video of my daughter and my mother. I wasn't really into video and stuff back then. I was more into taking pictures. I have a lot of pictures of them together, but not a lot of video. I'll insert the video so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Went home, spent a couple days with her while I was on maternity leave at 6 weeks. Went back home right before I came back to work, right before my maternity leave ended. Maya was almost 3 months old. I went home for the weekend. Mama was in good spirits. She was telling me something a million times. She was, wandering. She was doing all of those things. But she could talk to me. She could, I could have a conversation with her. I went home 3 days. I went back home 3 days before I got the call. Your mama coded. She's up at LMH. They're doing everything they can. What you mean? I was just on FaceTime with her. The nurses that would take care of her at the house had an iPhone. And I would FaceTime their phone so I could see my mama and talk to her. I had just done that. Maybe a couple hours before I got that phone call. She had a pulmonary embolism. She already had Alzheimer's. She lost oxygen to her brain for about 20 minutes. And they kept saying, there's nothing else they could do. And I said, I don't care what they saying. You take my mama to Vidant. You take her to Vidant and they can fix her at Vidant. That was the hospital next to the small town I grew up in. They got her over there, worked on her. They were able to bring her back. She stayed in ICU, I think 6 weeks. When she woke up, she couldn't talk. She could say words, but she wasn't herself. They couldn't stop the bleeding. She was in bad shape. They sent her home under hospice care because she couldn't pass the swallowing test. 3 months after my daddy died. 3 months after my daddy died. My mama almost died. And they telling me she going home on hospice? What you mean? She went home on hospice. But when she got home, she started swallowing. She started eating. But that was the last time when I went home when Maya was 6 weeks old. When I went home when Maya was 6 weeks old, that was the last time I saw my mama walk. That's the last time I saw or heard my mother speak coherently. That was 2015. April of 2015 was the last time I had any type of remembrance or any type of, I can't say, what's the word I'm looking for? Any type of sense of my mother, the way I remember her, at least to that point, right? Because after she came home on hospice care, she ain't say much. She ain't say much. I think maybe a year after that, I almost lost it because she called my name. I was happy to hear her call my name. If I play Grace and Mercy for her, she perk up. She raised her hand and started giving God the praise. Baby, she loved the Lord with all her heart. And she loved that song, Your Grace and Mercy brought me through. She loved that song. So I would play that for her. And she would raise her hand and give God the praise. But outside of that, nothing. Blank. I have some cute moments of her and Maya connecting the eye because I feel like she felt like Maya was me. But from 2015 to June of 2021, my mother didn't say a thing. From 2015 to 2021, my mother did not say a thing. She talked with her eyes. I have been grieving since 2008. It's 2025. It is 2025. Every day I think about them. Wish they were here. Wish they could see Maya. Wish they could see me and spilling the sweet tea and taking things they taught me and turning it into a brand, turning it into a business. I hate it. I hate that they're not here. But I want to continue to make them proud. I want them to be proud of me and how I have navigated through this loss. Because they wouldn't want me to be in some type of shell. Baby, when I tell you the shit I've been through these last couple years, since my mother got sick and my father passing away, I got a story to tell, baby. I grieve people that still fucking living. I grieve people that still living. I don't talk about it, but I grieve people that are still living. So to grieve people that you have lost, your parents, you've had your whole life, but to also grieve people that are alive and well, but baby, they done you so wrong, can't be bothered. My mama used to say, some people you got to deal with a long handled spoon. And once people show you who they are, believe them. And that's just how I've always been. You show me who you are, I believe you. I love you, but stay the fuck over there. Stay over there. What Cardi B say? You switched up a side and forgot? I can't remember the lyrics, but she said it. Damn it, I gotta look it up. I've dealt with that. On top of losing my parents. It's a hurt that I don't wish on anybody. And I don't know what I thought I was going to do in this video because I have cried the whole time. But I wanted to make this video specifically for people. And I'm an hour into this thing. I'm going to edit it down for y'all. But I want people to know more about me and my journey but I want people to know more about me and my journey besides the smothered pork chops. Baby, besides the biscuits and the cornbread, the banana pudding, and all of the things that I make, I've been through it. And the biggest part of my chapter has been dealing with grief. So I'm making this video to let you know if you are in my shoes, if you've been on that front row of that church, if you've been in that lead car, that limo, and had to watch your mama or your daddy be lowered into that damn ground, I understand. I understand. Because, baby, I had to do it twice. And continue to be an employee. And continue to be a wife. And continue to be a mother. A friend. A family member. Entrepreneur. A food content creator. Baby, cooking is healing for me. I feel closest to my mama in that kitchen. When I'm cooking smothered pork chops and biscuits and hush puppies and collards, candy yams, all the things she showed me how to cook, she in there with me. That's why I talk about her so much in my content. It's a part of my healing from the loss of my mother. That's how I deal with grief. That's how I deal with the grief. The stories that I tell you guys about the dishes that she taught me how to make, I'm grieving. I'm healing. I'm sharing who she was with you guys. When y'all say I made it the Shirley Mae way, when I tell y'all, it melts my heart that you guys know her name. You know her chicken salad recipe, her candy yams recipe. It makes me feel good that she lives on through me. She'll live on through Maya, but she'll live on through this damn internet, through my cookbook, through my brand. The internet's forever. So even after I'm gone, she's always going to be a part of my story. And I'm grateful for that. I had amazing parents. They sacrificed so much for me to be who I am today. And I'm so grateful for them. No matter who you're grieving, don't let nobody tell you how to grieve. Don't let nobody tell you, you still on that? Or I would knock somebody out if they said some shit like that to me. But people don't understand. Until they sit on that front row, they have no idea what you're dealing with. Until you watch your mama go into the ground, you don't fucking know the pain I feel and so many other people feel that's in this club. I wouldn't want to be in this club for nobody. I wish I could call my mama right now. I wish I could go home right now and see her and my damn daddy. But I can't. There's nothing about home for me that's the same. Nothing. Nothing. So I remember them and the photos I have, the memories I have, the recipes they taught me. I teach them to my daughter. I tell my daughter stories about her grandparents. So she knows who they are, right? How much she meant to them and how much they would have wanted to be a part of her life. I just want you guys to know that you got to keep going. I know it's so hard. I know when people say time heals, I used to hate hearing that shit. Well, just give it time. It's true, because the Father's Day that I'll experience this year, the Christmas I'll experience this year, will not be the Christmas and the Father's Day I experienced in 2015. As time has gone on, this past Christmas would have made 10 years. Day after Christmas. My father died a day after Christmas. It was 10 years. And I always can remember because my baby is 10 years old. She turned 10 years old in January. That's how I keep up with it. How old she gonna be is how long it's been since my daddy died. So it helps. I'm not the basket case I was all those years ago, but I have my moments. If I, make a Facebook post dedicating it to them for Mother's Day or Father's Day or their birthdays, I continue to honor them. The Bible says to honor your mother and your father, and your days will be long. They are gone, but I continue to honor them in everything that I do, because I would not be here. I wouldn't be spilling no damn sweet tea had it not been for them. So I honor them. So time does help, but don't tell people that. If you have not lost a parent, don't tell people that. They don't want to hear that. The best thing you can do for somebody is just be there for them. Because once that funeral is over and that repast is packed up and people done ate and people done fellowshipped and they take themselves back home, they ain't calling to check on these people. I have a handful of people that will call and check on me. And I know the motherfuckers that won't there. The ones that won't there when my daddy died or when my mama died, yeah, you on the list. I remember. You on the list. And I handle you accordingly. And that's fine. I mean, I'm a Pisces, so I'm just one of them ones. But I think it's important for you to know that grief, there's no particular path to grief. It comes in waves. You have to cope the best way you know how. You have to cope the best way you know how. Stay prayed up. Keep looking up. Surround yourself with people who are going to support you. Surround yourself with people that you can talk to. If it helps you to talk about your loved one, talk about them. If you got to record a video like I'm doing today and just cry and talk and share how you feel and your journey with others to help you, do that. If you have to go into a therapy session or get on a damn antidepressant, do that. Do whatever you feel that's going to be best for you to cope with grief. Because when I tell you, it never ends. It never ends. Like I said earlier, when I see cardinals, I know it's my mom and daddy coming to see me. I still have my father's voicemails on my phone to this day. To this day. I'll play them sometimes if I want to hear his voice, hear his laugh. I'll play the few little videos I have of my mother. I think I have 2, maybe 2 of her talking. But I look at pictures of them all the time and I just remember the good times. Everything they taught me. Everything they sacrificed for me. Being a parent ain't easy, baby. Ain't no blueprint to it. You have to do the best you can to prepare your kids for the real world, and they did that. My parents did that. I'm standing on my own 2 feet, and I'm very independent because of the mother and father I had. Yeah. I'm standing on my own 2 feet, independent, because of the mother and father I had. My mother used to always say, you better keep you some cash money. Baby, all them life lessons and everything she taught me, I remember them. In addition to the recipes, right? In addition to, growing up and a small family business. All the things I saw them do and sacrifice to give their family a good life. I saw all of that. And I continue to do that. That's why I'm in here cooking. That's why I'm working a 9 to 5. That's why I have a small food brand, right? That's why I wrote a cookbook. I want to create all of these different revenue streams for my daughter. Now it's my turn to give my daughter a good life. And in order for me to do that, I work every single day, whether it's at my corporate job or, doing something I'm passionate about, which is creating content, sharing recipes, and growing my small food brand, Miss Lena's. Because it's truly the essence of my childhood. My mother made biscuits all the time. That's why Miss Lena's exists. That's why I started with the jam, because we would make peach preserves and pear preserves all the time. That's another way I cope and I heal, because I honestly didn't think I had it in me. I grew up in a small business. I saw what it took to be an entrepreneur, but because my parents really didn't have a life outside of that small business, I said, that ain't for me. Baby, that ain't for me. That ain't for me. Because they never took a vacation. They are always working. And I'm always working, but I still take time to go on vacation and do things with my daughter, but a lot of Saturdays and Sundays, I'm creating content. I'm editing content. I'm in the kitchen, but I always have to remind myself that no, I have to take breaks. I did that a couple weekends ago. Maya and I just went to the mall. We had lunch. We kikied. We had a good time, mother and daughter time. My mother and father had a bit of that, but a lot of it was working for them. A lot of it was working. I don't want to make this video any longer, but I wanted to make this video. I don't even know how long this is going to be. This is probably be the longest YouTube video I've ever made. But I think it's important to understand my journey and for me to tell my story from my perspective when it comes to grief. I'm a huge advocate for the Alzheimer's Association. If you follow me for a long time, I do the walk every October. I raise money so they can find a cure for Alzheimer's disease. Because I don't want another family to go through what my family has gone through. Alzheimer's has ruined my family. That's another video for another day. And I feel like at some point I'll tell that part of my story in regards to how I feel like Alzheimer's destroyed my family. But I won't do that today. I just want to let you guys know, if you're grieving, to take one day at a time. Just keep going. What helps me is to remember my parents as they were and to continue to want to make them proud. I want to continue to make them proud. So I can't fall apart. I have to keep going. And I have to take care of their baby, my daughter Maya. They wouldn't want it any other way. I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you want more content like this from me. This is my first time making a video like this where I'm just talking to the camera. I'm not cooking anything, but just sharing a little bit of my story. So let me know. Make sure to subscribe. And thank you so much. I love you. Have a blessed day.